Hey everybody, sorry I'm getting on here a little late. I'm not going to make this a habit. I know I was a little late last week. I'm trying to gather my thoughts a little bit more and be a little more focused. In the theme of character, I wanted to start talking more about character development in our kids, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Character development is so important. If you think about what you want for your kids, you think of all the education things, if they know all of the planets in the solar system and they're super smart in math and, they win all the geography Bs and they're super good academics, academically, educationally, really great. That's good. That's important. That's part of an education. But character is so much more important. When you think about the great people like Julius Caesar, that was a guy, we didn't know anything about his academics. We admire him for his character. Character is king when it comes to raising children for greatness. And today I wanted to just talk about there's tons of character, obviously. That's what the next book is going to be about, is twice the size of education. And today I just want to talk about one virtue that I think is lost. I asked some people, if you're there, what do you think that the lost virtue is that most people don't talk about anymore? We talk about kindness, we talk about tolerance, kind of all the kind of really nice, like limp-wristed virtues. What is a virtue that you think that has just been totally forgotten? If anybody has a response, you go ahead. I think there's only a few people here, so I'd say it's loyalty. Loyalty is the long-lost virtue. People used to live and die in loyalty. It's a mark of greatness. If you look at all of the great people throughout history, loyalty was an extreme value that they practiced. And if you look at today, most of the people, we no longer talk about loyalty. We no longer advocate loyalty. I don't know, when's the last time you said to your kids, that's so disloyal? Or why don't you show some loyalty? Why don't you show some loyalty to your sister? We don't even talk about that anymore. I think we've forgotten about it. And if we have loyalty, it's usually to an ideal. It's a political party. It's maybe a sports team. You see people so loyal to their sports team, they'll go and they'll fight each other over a sports team. Their political party, of course, their nation, patriotism. But we no longer see loyalty in family relationships. You see often children are disloyal to their own parents. They'll side with strangers that they meet at school that they're kind of friends with, and they'll show loyalty to them. Sometimes they don't show loyalty to their own parents, their own church, their own faith. Right now, we have people who hate America. They just hate America. They have no loyalty to the people who founded this nation, who basically paved the way for them. No sense of loyalty. And they'll achieve very little without the value of loyalty. Disloyal people achieve very little. In fact, there's nobody worse than a disloyal person. We don't want to be friends with those people. We're waiting for them to stab us in the back. Nobody likes loyal people. Sometimes they'll use disloyal people throughout history, like Judas. He got paid some money. He was a good friend for a while. He stabbed Jesus in the back. But in the end, nobody wanted to associate with him after he'd done that deed. Great people live and die in loyalty. And it's going to be a great chapter in the next book talking about that, reintroducing that into our family values. When you look at so much of the media today, when you look at so much of the movies that our kids are watching, like the Disney movies, rebellion, disloyalty is almost a theme of the movies. You'll watch great one, everybody loves Little Mermaid. So disloyal. She's so disloyal. So she has her people under the sea. She falls in love with this guy she saw one time on a boat. She's just totally Twitter-pated. She's not really in love, right? She's Twitter-pated. He was cute or something on the boat. Now she's going to sell her soul for the opportunity to meet this guy. She betrays her family. She betrays her father. She chases this guy. She sells her soul to the sea witch. Totally disloyal. And what I hate about Disney is if you read the original story, her disloyalty, her foolishness in chasing this guy, it's condemned at the end of the story. She doesn't get the guy, and she lives in between these two worlds of the humans and her own people, the mer people, and she's just kind of like a wanderer because she was disloyal. In the Disney's version, she's almost the hero for it. It's bold, and at the end, the father repents, but she was disloyal. And you see that as a theme through many of the Disney movies. The children are rebellious, and it's almost like a virtue. They find their own way. They are true to themselves. They're loyal to themselves. Well, people who are only loyal to themselves, which is the natural state of being, it's a disloyal person, they can never form great alliances. When you look at the military, that is a brotherhood. It's a brotherhood. Your life's on the line, and we can only fight and win wars as long as we keep the faith with each other. And you have that brotherhood that that if I take a bullet, that guy's going to come running from me. They're not going to leave me. And that gives me courage to go into battle. And I know and that other guy, he has courage because he knows that if he's down, if it's him that's lost, his brotherhood is going to come for him, going to protect him. He's got his back. That's so important. You can achieve nothing on your own. I have a good buddy that he's a good friend, but he used to be one of the coaches at an MMA gym I used to fight at. He was a kickboxing coach, super tough dude, just yoked. I did jujitsu with him. He's super strong. He's not great at jujitsu, but he was just super strong guy, okay? So not a guy you'd want to get in a fight with. He's in a bar alone with his wife. There's a bunch of guys. They're kind of just being rude at a table. Some girl starts yelling at him. They get in a fight. My buddy goes over to break it up. And this dude's a tough dude, right? He's trying to break up this fight. And one of the guys with 6 buddies jumps up like he's going to hit him. So my friend, who's a kickboxing coach, a professional kickboxing coach, just lays the dude out. One hit, lays him out. Okay, huge mistake. You know, he was alone. This other guy who he hits, his 6 loyal buddies all jump in. And this guy who's super, super tough, you know, I just saw him. He has black eyes. His face is all swollen. He just got beat up, you know, super tough guy. But on his own, one guy, no matter how tough you are, you're going up against 6 people. You're going to lose. You need loyalties. Great associations have great loyalties. If you look at Julius Caesar, what he did with his army, when he marched on Rome, his men were outnumbered, vastly outnumbered, but they were loyal to him. They marched on Rome. They crossed the Rubicon. They took Rome. And then Julius Caesar ends up going to battle. And this is another it's like a brotherhood between him and Mark Antony. He goes into battle. He's probably going to lose. He's getting beaten by his old rival, Pompey. They used to be friends, but Pompey betrayed him. So they're going to war with his rival, and he's going to lose, and Mark Antony comes to his rescue. Not thinking he'd win, but because he's loyal, and they understand that you live and die in loyalty. There's no victory without a loyal alliance. In the great story of Julius Caesar, even after Julius Caesar dies, he's stabbed in the back by a disloyal friend. Brutus stabs him in the back. Ultimate traitor, right? Betrayed his trust. You have Mark Antony. Mark Antony, they want to get Mark Antony on the side. Mark Antony's a powerful person. He has a powerful family. So they want Mark Antony to kind of join them and side with them after he's dead. He has nothing to lose by siding with Caesar. Caesar's dead. So if he can be disloyal and just kind of jump on Brutus's side, then they think they can kind of put the people down and kind of quiet everything up and get on with their lives. And for a moment, they think Mark Antony is going to be disloyal now. He has nothing to gain. Julius Caesar's dead, right? Nothing to gain. So they invite him to the funeral to speak. And Mark Antony says, hey, I'm going to say a few words for Caesar, and I'm going to try to bring peace and unity to this thing. And I'm basically on your side because I have no other choice. Everybody else, all my allies have fled Rome. I'm here alone, and my great friend, my brother, is dead. Nothing to gain. So they really think he's going to speak on their behalf. But as soon as he starts speaking, you realize his loyalty hasn't shifted. And he alone is loyal to the corpse of Julius Caesar. And he takes on, I know it's Brutus, and I forget the other guy. I think it's Cato, or Cato the Younger or something. But he takes them on. And he turns the mob against him. Like, look at these disloyal people who they slayed. Julius Caesar, who's always been loyal to you. And just him being loyal inspired the crowd that Mark Antony still isn't going to throw Caesar under the bus. He's still going to be loyal. That inspires the people. And it's a great shift in tides at this funeral. The people end up siding with him and chasing Brutus and those guys out. And if you know the rest of the story, Mark Antony wins a great victory. He unites with Julius Caesar's nephew, who becomes Caesar Augustus, the first Caesar of Rome. And they take on Caesar's enemies. So that loyal bond didn't die even in death with Julius Caesar. They maintained their loyalty, and they were able to achieve this great victory by being loyal. So loyal associations are so important, and it's something that our kids aren't taught anymore. I mean, I think they have some sense that they should be loyal to their friends, but they've forgotten that they should be loyal to the people who give them life, their mother, their father, their blood, their brothers and sisters. Super loyal. And loyalty, it's a sense of power. You know, just like at that bar fight, those other guys were confident. They had power because there were 6 of them united in a cause against my buddy, who's actually a great fighter. He could have taken any one of them one-on-one, but that loyal union is powerful. Okay, so I want to just give you a few more examples of loyal families and the power in loyalty, that old virtue. One would be, probably the epic example of a loyal people is the Jews. The Jews, they bicker with themselves. They have a lot of infighting. They've done great things. They've done some horrific things to each other. They've lost their faith sometimes. They've betrayed God. They've sided with the pagans and everything. But one thing that they are loyal is to their destiny and their people. And that's why the Jews have been scattered so many times throughout history. So many times, not just in the Old Testament, but in the New Testament. If you look at the last scattering of the Jews, I think I talked about this a little bit last time, but the Romans, they cannot break the Jews. The Jews have this sense that their family is destined to rule the world through the Messiah. They don't believe Jesus is coming. They believe their Messiah is coming. They believe in their destiny as a people. And no matter how many times the Romans come in and break them, this doesn't die. And the Jews have survived as a people group into the modern age from ancient times. They're the only ones. Like, we don't think of the Persians anymore, the Romans. Those are all gone away. The Jews have somehow managed to maintain their identity and their loyalty to their family, which started with one patriarch. And they still look back to that patriarch. They still look back to Father Abraham, and they're still loyal to his legacy. And it's interesting because the Romans end up coming to Jerusalem. They realize they're so loyal. They think it's to the land and stuff, which is partly is. But they say, okay, we're scattering the Jews, we're selling them to slaves, and we're going to make it illegal for Jews to come to Jerusalem. So they literally scatter these Jews to the four corners of the world, and yet somehow they maintain their identity. Even as they lose their religion and their faith, and they become heathens and pagans, they maintain that family identity. And you fast forward thousands of years later, and somehow they've organized themselves and they have Israel again. They've united their people in Israel. They own that site. They had that sense of destiny. No other people group have maintained that continual loyalty to their family and their destiny. It's really powerful. It's indomitable. As long as there's a few Jews alive, like they continue to have this vision for their family. Very powerful. It's a Jewish family, but of course the Rothschilds. It's amazing. The Rothschilds, by the way, are bad people, very wicked people. I'm not a fan of the Rothschilds, but what they did with their sons and teaching loyalty, it's amazing. They sent their sons, they had 5 sons. They sent them out to different cities throughout Europe, hubs. And it's interesting, again, because the Jews at this time, they're in Christendom. They're not allowed to be in the inner circle. They're not allowed to be in government because that's reserved for the Christian, rulers. They want to be ruled by Christian, their nations be ruled by Christians. So the Jews are a lot on the outside. But they go to these different cities in different countries. They don't see each other daily, but they maintain this loyalty to the patriarch of the family. They maintain this loyalty to the Rothschild name. They go out into these different cities. They found up, in one generation, they found up these great banks. And then they're able to dominate all of the nations because their banks support each other. They can move money to each other. And while it does sound horrible, but they're not necessarily, they're in London, but they don't necessarily have that loyalty to England. They have loyalty to their family first. And so they're able to back, different sides of wars. First, they're backing Napoleon Bonaparte, and then they're like, we're done with you now. It looks like they're traitors to Napoleon Bonaparte, and they stab him in the back at Waterloo. And they did, but they were always loyal to their family first, and that's what made them so strong. If you look at the revolutions and how they were able to overthrow so many countries throughout Europe, again, we think of that as treachery. They weren't loyal to the English, or they weren't loyal to the French. They were a nation within a nation, which was true, but really, they were that nation within a nation. They had loyalty to their family first, and it was never broken. And they were able, after World War II, to reorganize themselves, the Rothschilds, and get Israel for themselves. They've returned. It's a story of triumph. You can say the Rothschilds are bad people, but it's still a story of the triumph, the power of loyalty. Okay, and you think about loyalty to a corpse, like Julius Caesar, that power. If you think about Christendom, we are loyal to a corpse. We are loyal to Jesus Christ, who died. I have never seen Jesus Christ, and yet thousands of years later, 2,000 years later, we still honor him. We're still loyal to that cause. And that's the other thing. The Jews have been indomitable. The church of Christ has been indomitable. We've had so many things thrown at us. We've been persecuted beyond belief. If you study the French Revolution, the Russian revolutions, these were primarily anti-Christian revolutions, and they just wanted to annihilate them. You look at the persecutions in Rome, that loyalty to Christ, it's indomitable. And everywhere we go, no matter what nation we move to or where we have to flee to or everything, we remember that loyalty, and it brings us together as the body of Christ. So loyalty is huge, guys. If your kids are going to rise on the scene and they want to be great in this world, loyalty is important. If you look at Donald Trump, you can hate him. You look at the Clintons, you can hate them. Okay, let's just pick Hillary Clinton, because everybody hates Trump, everybody hates Hillary. Most of my audience probably doesn't like Hillary. Let's look at Hillary. Hillary Clinton, she's not a good person. Okay, she has a very bad person. I'm not a huge fan of Hillary Clinton's, the Clintons, the Bushes, all of them. You can say one thing: they understand loyalty. You look at the Bushes; they backed each other. They worked together. They went to different states to set up political dynasties. One moves to Texas to take the governorship, Republican governorship. One goes to Florida. The other Bush, Jeb Bush. When they run for presidencies, they support each other. Total loyalty. They've been able to build a dynasty. You look at the Clintons. I have no belief that Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton are friends. I think they probably hate each other, but they understand for their careers, for their greatness, and it's worked for them. They stay loyal. Bill Clinton and Hillary, I think they cheat on each other all the time. So that's, kind of disloyalty in their marriage. And yet they stay united as an alliance. Even if it's just a political alliance, they understand that there's power in getting each other's back. And they have backed each other, that you've never seen them turn on each other. Even when Bill Clinton cheated on his wife, she still had loyalty to him. And so I admire that loyalty. If you look at the Trumps, I don't believe that. Probably like Ivanka. She's probably very liberal. She probably doesn't support a lot of what her father does. She supports her father. She's loyal to her family. She's loyal to the Trumps. And that's commendable. So loyalty is a forgotten virtue. It's time we reintroduce it to our children. If they want to be great people, they're going to need loyal associations. Not just these networking. It's totally different than networking. When you go out and they teach it now, like, business and marketing and stuff, you want to network and have all these kind of associations, stuff like that. That doesn't work without loyalty. At some point, you have to be loyal. Even when you have nothing to offer, you need people who are got your back, and you have nothing to offer them. And the only way they're going to do that if it's reciprocated, meaning when they have nothing to offer you, you still stand by them. You live and die in loyalty. And sometimes it means you die a tragic death. There are certainly lots of martyrs for Christ that have died in horrific, tragic deaths, but we understand that loyalty to the end pays off in dividends more often than it doesn't. And that greatness can only happen through loyal associations. And those people who they don't want to tie into anybody, maybe they're not disloyal, but they just really don't hold fast to anybody, they'll never be able to grow a powerful association. So they'll just be kind of normal people. And then, of course, being disloyal, that's probably the worst thing you can do. That's the only virtue your friends won't tolerate, even evil people. If you look at like the Freemasons, okay, just not all of them, not the low level, but you look at the Freemasons. You look at like the Illuminati, which is a secret society started in Bavaria, trying to take down the king of Bavaria, and they had to be a secret society because he's the king. They can kill him, and they're trying to overthrow this guy. They're horrible. Okay, a lot of their initiations are satanic, and if you look at the fraternal organizations they set up, which I'll get into someday, that's a different thing. But in the colleges and stuff, Greek society, okay, they're degenerate. If you look at Okay, since I opened the can of worms. So, in 1776, the Illuminati was founded in Bavaria. Of course, there was the American Declaration of Independence. We declared independence from Great Britain, 1776. And then something else happened in 1776. We had the first fraternal organization, which is a frat, started at a college campus. And today we're very familiar with frats. We understand it's Greek society. That was started by the Freemasons as kind of a way to recruit from within the universities, okay? And it's really interesting because they're evil, okay? They're evil people, and they know that, okay, we never want to be infiltrated by Christians. We never want to be infiltrated by Christians. So they have this pledge thing where, first of all, you pledge your loyalty over your church, over your faith, over your family, over God. You pledge your loyalty to this group. I don't know what it is in fraternities today. I'm just talking about the original fraternity at William and Mary University. So you pledge your loyalty, but then you prove that you're not a Christian. This is how they kept Christians out, because Christians can be loyal, but by doing all these degenerate things, like committing homosexual acts, because they knew that no true Christian is going to go in there and commit a mortal sin. So that's the way they kept people out. But within their den of thieves, their evil society, they still value loyalty. They understand that even though they're evil, okay, and maybe they don't understand they're evil, but even among evil, even among thieves, they have to have a code of loyalty for them to operate. And so that's why you'll see even people like the Clintons, who are very bad, degenerate people. You can say the same of Bushes if you feel that way. You can say the same of Trump if you hate him. But they understand the power of loyalty. Even when they commit other sins, maybe they don't understand the power of chastity, they still get loyalty. Okay, so it's something we want to hammer to our kids when they're young. And it's something I don't really ever remember talking about with anybody, with any adults, my parents or anybody. I don't really remember that discussion of loyalty. But it's something I talk about with my kids all the time, with my sisters or my daughters. They're sisters. That's your best friend. First and foremost, that's your best friend. Your sister comes first. Show some loyalty. We had an incident once where there was a group of friends that one of my daughters kind of hang out with, and they didn't like the other sister. Like, how come your little sister has to come? Blah, blah, and they started talking about it. And my daughter, my oldest daughter, I think she was tempted for a minute to kind of distance herself from her sister, who will always be there, and to please this crowd of people, and they didn't want the little sister hang out. And I'd remind her, like, that's your sister, that's your blood, that's your loyalty. Show some loyalty. These new friends that you have, they'll come and go. They're nothing compared to your sister. Loyalty matters. Your sister's going to be there for you when you're older, or she won't. okay? Or she won't. If you don't show loyalty to your sister now, she'll have no reason to show loyalty to you, and you'll have wasted that alliance, which is what a family was. I mean, God created a family to have a mother and a father and children, absolute loyalty, so that every kid in the world has two advocates that are on his side every time. He may have just committed murder. He may have, and the parents, I mean, he may be going to jail, but he has two people who still are on his side. That means that doesn't mean that they try to get him out of jail or anything like that, but it means that they're still advocates for what's best for him because they're his parents, and that's by design. That's one of the horrible things about school. There's no impartiality. There's no loyalty. The teacher's there. She's got 30 kids. She's trying to like equally manage all of them. She has no loyalty to your kid over the other kids. That's why I love parents. You're breaking up kids, then every kid has an advocate who only cares what's best for their kids. And that actually works better because everybody has that, except for orphans, which is horrible. But you lose that in the school system. Your kids have an unbiased teacher who's looking out for the common good, but isn't there to advocate for your kid. That's why parents are so powerful, so important. So teach that. And demand loyalty from your kids, because that's where it starts. And a lot of parents have trouble with that. They think, oh, well, I want my kids to have their own friends and do their own thing. And I'm just really here like a sacrificial lamb. They think they're helping their kid by being the sacrificial lamb. And I'm going to lay down my life. And I'm going to make it about my kids' dreams. They're going to follow their own dreams. They're going to be only loyal to themselves. And you'll hear that a lot, like, to yourself be true, right? Follow your dreams and leave your family and go chase your dreams in Hollywood, kind of forget about your family. And then if they're really good parents, they'll kind of pat you on the back and say, we support you, okay? And you think that you're doing your favor by laying down your life kind of sacrificially and letting your kids do their own thing and you don't push that loyalty. That's a problem because someday your kids will be parents. And don't you want your grandchildren to show loyalty to your kids since you love them? And if you don't teach them loyalty to you, they're not gonna know how to ask from loyalty to their kids. And then you have situations which happened recently. I just went blank. What's Trump's speaker? She's like a spokesperson for her. She's the girl. She's like the first campaign manager, a female of a winning candidate. Please, if somebody knows, what's her name? At any rate, she's in this job. Her family hates Trump. And so her own daughter is calling her out on live, like on a Twitter feed. She has like millions of followers, something. I don't know, a lot of people. She's calling her mom out, telling her mom is a horrible person in public, no loyalty to her mom. Her own husband is calling her out, calling out Trump, who's her boss, all the time on social media. I guess he's more loyal to his party, his politics than his own wife. He's stabbing his own wife in the back. And then it's really crazy because she shows loyalty to her family by finally stepping down from the job and saying, you know what, this job is destroying my family. It's creating her a lot of grief. I got to go be loyal to my kids first. It's so sad that her kids haven't picked up on that and aren't reciprocating the loyalty. Really sad when you see that. And it's ruined her career. And I really feel bad for her. And you could say, oh, it's really good of the daughter, like if you don't, because they hate Trump so much. And that's fine. You can hate Trump so much, but it's tragic to see a daughter out there attacking her own mother in the public square. No sense of loyalty. That's not anybody I'd want to associate with. That's not somebody I'd want to bring on my team that's just that loyal, that would throw their own mother under the bus, to appease their friends who hate Trump or something like that. Just horrible. Anyway, all right, guys, that's it. I don't want to ramble too much. Read the book. I do a much better job talking about loyalty, the importance of loyalty, the bond of loyalty in my new book, Character Development. That book is coming out shortly. It'll be out by the end of the month. My editor's doing a final read through, so it's literally a month away. I'm going to go into loyalty more. I talk about all these virtues that I don't talk about anymore. I talk about the importance of courage. I talk about the importance of contentment, but in a totally different way, okay? Most of us, when we talk about being powerful and we talk about being great, we kind of follow Kellyanne Conway. Thank you. Yes, I don't know why I went blank. I always do that whenever I go live. All the facts go out the window. I can't recall anything. Kellyanne Conway. And you can hate Kellyanne Conway. But I was shocked to see that disloyalty. I would be shocked to see a Clinton stab another Clinton in the back. I mean, that would shock me. It'd be tragic if for her own daughter. And I'm not saying you have to support your parent if they're evil. You don't. And that's another thing we talk about in the book is understanding loyalty and priority. Like my kids know my first loyalty is to God. That's it. To Jesus Christ, to the church. That's my first loyalty. So I'm never going to support them stabbing the church in the back. I'm never going to be on that. They know that from day one. And guess what? I've told them the same thing. If I ever lose my faith someday and I become an enemy of the church, you know where your loyalty is. Your loyalty is with God first. That's the priority, okay? Priority. And then it's your parents. I gave you life. You do owe me your life, okay? There's lots of people don't even want to have kids anymore. There's lots of people who do horrible things to their kids, or, you know, like after they're born, they didn't want kids, they choose to just to kill them. Don't hold that over their head. But in other words, I gave you life. So many people said, don't have a kid, don't get married early. Like, I gave you life. We weren't planning on the first kid, but I kept your life. I sustained it. I love you. I take care of you. I feed you and clothe you. I expect loyalty. That's not me being greedy. That's me. Well, again, it's mutual, because I also give loyalty. I'll always be loyal to my daughter. There is no loyalty in her home. Parent wasn't showing it to her. Yeah, I mean, it was tough. That's a tough situation. There's no loyalty in the home. I'll agree with that. But, you know, my daughter, like, she knows I'll be loyal to you. I do expect loyalty. It's reciprocation. I'm going to take care of you forever. I expect you to have my back, okay, with loyalty. So, but of course, you do want the priority. It goes God, it goes family. And I say with God, it's church too. Not necessarily, this is tough, not necessarily the community church, but the overall universal church, Christ church. Loyalty to God and church first. And then loyalty to your parents. When you get married, that loyalty slightly shifts from your parents. It's going to go to your spouse, of course, but you still honor your parents. And then, of course, you have loyalty down the chain to your kids. Part of being loyalty is priority. It means that because of my loyalty to my wife, she was getting conflicting information from them. Yeah, part of my loyalty to my wife means that I don't go out all the time hanging out with the guys, because I have to spend time with my life, because she's my priority. My kids, you know, I could take on all these different activities like coaching and all this stuff. And I do like to coach other people's kids and support other people's kids within our homeschool groups and stuff like that. But part of my loyalty to my own kids is making sure that I have enough time to give them proper attention, to be an advocate for them, make time to be here for them. Part of loyalty to the family, you know, when I quit my job, I was making really good money. And it was a really big move to just go out on my own, start writing my own books, like building this thing. But I thought, you know, I want my kids to have me there. I want to, if I'm able to, I want to be loyal to them first over the job. And working for myself, it's possible. I can show loyalty to my kids first over the occupation, the job that I'm doing. So all of that should encompass that family loyalty. I say family loyalty is the key, or one of the keys to greatness. You have to have a strong, loyal family, especially if it's going to be generational greatness, which we'll talk about later, passing that greatness on, building a dynasty, you know. Anyway, all right. Thanks, guys, so much for coming. Do teach your kids loyalty, but read my book first. I think I do a great job breaking down the lessons of loyalty. Your kid's going to ask, like, well, they're not going to understand loyalty. It's very hard to teach to kids because you do have these different priorities and stuff. I think I do a good job explaining it. I think I do a good job building up the importance of loyalty. So anyway, if you have any questions about anything I said, that was all off the top of my head. The book's going to be a lot better. Ask them. Your questions are always the priority. Thank you guys so much. And hopefully you guys are, I actually don't ask for loyalty for Blue Manor yet because I'm not done building it. I know you guys, I don't have all the curriculum and stuff together, so I don't ask for any loyalty yet. But someday when I have something great to offer, you know, there will be that loyalty, that sense of Blue Manor's community. I really want to build that. Have the Blue Manor's mom, and they know like that's a Blue Manor's mom, and we provide opportunities for our kids within our own little like clique association because loyalty is powerful. It really is. You know, if somebody works for Blue Manor someday, again, not yet. It's not, the vision isn't there, but it's great. I know that they've gone through the system. They've been loyal to me. Like that's somebody I want to hire because I want to show loyalty preference to those who've been loyal. I hope that makes sense. I shouldn't have thrown that in there, but it's just that it's like sticking with your crew, building it up. Not always trying to jump ship to find the next best thing, but like building up what you have. Not always looking for the best. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I got you. Thanks, Sharon. Thanks so much. All right, I'm done. Talk to you guys later. Bye.